engagement, didn't you pick up this sentiments, the anger, the disappointment? Didn't you pick it up?
You see, the campaign period is a time of proposition and a time of proposal to deal with issues and deal with challenges and difficulties. So all these things were picked up. And that's why I said that if you pick our manifesto and in all our conversations, you realize that that's exactly what we were trying to deal with. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's conversations were all around dealing with these issues. For example, he spoke about reducing the size of government and clearly indicated that he's going to bring out just about 50 ministers. It was to deal with some issues of size of government with our existing government. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia spoke about specific strategies he was going to use to deal with the cost of living. He constantly acknowledged that on the campaign tour, where he spoke about how he needs to reduce the cost of public transportation, how he needs to reduce the cost of utilities by introducing solar into the power generation mix, by introducing e-vehicles into the public transport space. He spoke about how to create jobs by stimulating private sector and providing some energy into the SME space, and at the same time stimulating demand through the credit score systems. And so the issues are known. You're going into an elections. You know the issues, you know the challenges, you know the difficulties. You make proposals and then you engage the people to carry them along and believe in you. I don't think that anybody who voted for President Mahama voted because they love President Mahama's face. I'm sure they voted for President Mahama because they believe that his proposals are proposals that could confront the prevailing issues and challenges that confront us at this point. So yes, these things are known, these issues were known, and that is why we tailored solutions to that. And we still believe in the proposals that we put together to deal with our issues. But the Ghanaian voter has decided. They have clearly taken the side of the NDC in terms of what their proposition is, and we are committed to supporting them as much as we can to follow through their program. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia spent a lot of time in Ashanti region, obviously because it comes to support the point that we're making, that Ashanti is our stronghold. And so if you get a sense that our people are a bit frustrated and a bit unhappy about us, then you need to deepen their engagement with them. But I think that our people were probably a bit more frustrated and angry than we expected. And we're going to work at that and regroup and reorganize and engage our people to reactivate our base.
Now, looking back, would you have done anything differently from what you did during the campaigning period and stuff like that?
The way they say it, with the benefit of hindsight, everybody is wiser. You understand? I'm sure if the MPP had won the elections, in spite of anything, we will not be having this conversation. I'm sure we'll not be having this conversation. So usually, I am not the type that would say we could have done anything better. We are having this conversation this morning. Anything at all can come up out of this conversation. You could say, why did I grant this interview? Or you say, why did I even call Miracles? But at this point and at the time we're having this conversation, both you and I believe that it is a very good moment for us to have the conversation. But the outcome may tell otherwise. But you cannot throw your hands in the air and say, I could have done it better. At this point in time, you have looked at all the variables, thrown all of them up, and you are quite convinced that this is the way to go. We clearly would have to reorganize ourselves. We've done it before. We've gone through this before. We went through this and came back in 2016. The president-elect, President Mahama, lost our election by 1 million, and he's come back to win by 1.6 million. As what we do going forward is even much more important than simply brooding over what has gone on in the past. Whatever you did in the past, you may have done it with the best of intention and thinking, but the results is otherwise, and you just have to pick lessons from it to improve for the future.
Yeah, Dennis, talking about the reflection, I've heard even people, I would say, were not so much favorites of this administration, like Andy Apiakubi himself. I've heard the former MP, the current MP for Subin Eugene also made mention of the candidate Bawumia, and that they believe he was a good candidate. But one of the issues they are raising was with the president, that at the point the president became tone deaf to the concerns of the party, including his own members of parliament with which he came to government with. And personally, when I come on radio and you open phone lines and you ask people how they assess the MPP defeat, most of them you clearly see are not directly blaming the vice president or your candidate, but they point fingers at President Akufo-Addo. You lead the vice president communication when it comes to the campaign. How does that pause or that feedback reflect on you personally?
Well, I to be honest, I am not one that would like to isolate people and place blame at their doorstep. I mean, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia isn't either. As for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's capability, and his application to duty as our leader, it is without doubt. I mean, both sides of the divide, MPP and DC, everybody acknowledges that, listen, this man has really applied himself very, very, very well. And he really has done the best for the party and leading the party. I mean, if you recall where we were in 2022 and where he brought us, it's a big deal, So yes, if you see everybody insulating Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and praising him for his dedication to duty, it is because he is who he says he is. His level of innovation and capacity to solve problems and his creativity is without doubt. However, clearly, he was, for me, what I describe as a victim of circumstance. A fine candidate, a fine man, a fine presidential material, but at a time he had to confront issues that largely has very little to do with him. And he could not also just run away from it because he is, part of government. I would not isolate Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and say that he is the cause of our defeat. No. I would say that our government, is what our people were not so happy about. And the government is not just Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It is all of us who played a role, who played a role in the government that may have caused this. I mean, I was a municipal chief executive at some point. I am quite sure that at some point I also may have played a role in my corner. In my area in Etiapim North, was there a community that needed a small bridge that I didn't do? Did they anger them? Maybe yes. In my small Etiapim North, was there a community that I had to go and visit that I didn't visit, which angered them? Maybe yes. All of these issues that are happening across the 261 MMDAs, all the issues happening across the ministries, departments, and agencies, all the issues happening at the presidency, these are all things that will come together to form the composite issues for the government. And these are all things that will contribute to the government's appraisal. And I don't think it's fair for us to isolate just one person. Of course, he's a leader, he's a president, so the buck stops with him. But it was government, and we all contributed to government. And so it's fair for anybody to say that, yes, the government was at some point tone deaf to some of the issues which frustrated our people, for which reason they didn't turn out. That, for me, I think, is something that we cannot run away from. But in the coming days, we'll be able to get into the details and really be able to understand the critical issues and the specific headline issues that may have accounted for this. And one, of course, if it includes specific actions or inactions by the president, I'm sure it will come up. and then other government functionaries, that would also come up.
I would like to know if there are any immediate lessons.
Hello.
That you might have learned from this whole
Hello.
But before then.
Hello. Hello.